please give a warm welcome to Loveis Wise.
Hi. Okay, so my name is Loveis Wise. That's my actual name. I was thankfully given that name. I'm originally from Washington, D.C., but more recently I come from Philadelphia, and I'm currently based in Los Angeles, like very new, since July. So I haven't been able to really settle in yet. But yeah, so I'm here to talk to you all about my work and the magic that got me here to this point. So I had a unique experience where I started working as an illustrator in my junior year of college, which was not too long ago. I just graduated last year. I'm so happy there's a lot of students here, because I wish I got this talk during that time. So I hope this helps you. I don't know, maybe it will. I think it will. Let's hope. So I just had this pull to just really put myself out there. I had a lot of pressure from my mom, who was supporting me and taking out all these loans so I could go to art school. And she was like, I really need you to make something out of this degree. And I was obsessed with art and design, so I was like, Mom, that's no problem. I promise I'm going to do this thing. And then the pressure kind of just creeped in as I was a junior, and I was like, yeah, I really need to start working. Like, I know this is all I ever want to do. I don't want to do anything else, and no one else is going to give this to me. No one else is going to create that path for me. I need to find it. And at the same time, I was kind of struggling with my mental health and just learning about ways to take care of myself. So I had just went down a rabbit hole of just learning about like metaphysical tools and like different spiritual tools to help me through my, and just to help me with healing. But a lot of these pieces, a lot of my work relates alongside of that and within that kind of theme of just healing and self-care and mental health and Black culture. So yeah, and I work a lot with affirmations too. But what is magic? What is magic? I believe that to exist every day is magical in itself. To be human is magical in itself. To breathe and to live and to make, especially as artists, we're creatives. We're literally just pulling things together. Me and Sean was just talking about this. But we're just pulling things together and we're making things, and that's magical in itself. And the fact that we get that gift and we get to give that to other people is magic in itself. But I'm going to give you some ingredients, right, to put in your cauldron, if you will, to going towards having a successful creative journey, right? So the first thing you're going to need, are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes.
Are you with me? Yes. You need gratitude. You really do. I know it sounds so simple, but I mean, honestly, life is so simple. We just make things so complicated sometimes. Like, do you agree? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, we just make things so complicated. You need gratitude. You need to be thankful. Also, patience is your guide. Patience is your friend. And last but not least, faith and trust. I know that's two things, but they work alongside each other quite often. So the first is having gratitude and giving yourself thanks. And I think when you thank yourself and when you're kinder to yourself and you have compassion for yourself, it helps a lot in your creative process. You're able to appreciate the work that you do. Like, if you're not appreciating the work that you do, who else will? To be honest. How can you sell that to someone else if you can't sell it to yourself? So when I was a junior, I came across this many times in all the books that I was reading or the podcasts that I was listening to. And I don't know, why it didn't hit me before. I guess because I wasn't paying attention. But it was just constantly ringing in my ear to be thankful for where I am right now, to be very present and where I am right now in my process, and to just basically get there. Like, I'm going to get there eventually, but I can thank myself for I am in this moment. So yeah, I started making all of these affirmations. This one was one of them, but I made this because as a reminder to just be kinder to myself and to be kinder to my process and to be kinder to my body and to where I am as a person, as an artist, as a creative person, and to all of you. And I noticed like people started to connect with that work and they started to see themselves in these pieces as well. But it's really important to give yourself compassion while you're making. It's so important to you. And I mean, also, this quote really stuck with me. I was reading this amazing book called The Four Agreements. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. You probably have, you probably haven't, but I urge you to check it out and definitely, or at least like Google it. You'll see all the agreements, but the book is much better. But, you know, I mean, this one definitely resonated with me in understanding the power of my word. And what he means by this is like when you stand firm in the things that you say, it creates things, it makes things happen. So it's so important to be very sure and very certain about the things that you think and the things that you feel and the things that you say, because there's power in that. It really does. This definitely helps with the spell, just being like certain in the things that you speak and the things that you say. And the next one, this one that you all have, some of us don't have this. Some of us have very little of this. I'm one of those people, but I'm learning, I'm growing. But patience is so important. It's so important to just kind of let things fall as they do and just waiting it out. And I kind of learned that very early on. So during that, I think it was in my junior year, I was making all these pieces for my portfolio because I was like, I'm ready. I need to get out into the world. I feel like very sure about the work that I'm making, the themes that I want to tackle. So I need to be able to see it. And I'm one of those people that I kind of make lists, and I love making huge lists like this and just pasting it up on my wall. And I was like, okay, so I know I want to work for Nike, and I know I want to work for the Times, and I know I want to work for Cartoon Network, and I want to take better care of myself. And I just made this like huge chart. It was like, these are all the things I want to happen this year. And I think it was at the top of the list, because it's, I mean, you can make this honestly at any point, but it was just like a New Year's resolution kind of thing for me. So I was like, okay, these are all the things that I want to happen. This is where I see myself this year. And if things happen, okay. If they don't, that's fine too. I'll be fine with that. But I just started with just putting all the things that felt kind of intangible at the time for me. And I don't know. I just started to watch them come to life in this way. Like no matter how far out they might have seemed at the time, I still put them up on there. And I was not working at all. Like I had no client. So imagine this kid that was just like, you know what, I'm going to work for the Times this year with no one under my belt. Okay, kid. But it happened. It happened. So a few months later, I returned back to school and I showed my teachers my portfolio. I was like, yo, this is what I want to make. Like I see me doing this thing, and like, what do you think about it? And they were kind of impressed. They were like, oh, okay, you're on to something. And then I think a month later, I got my first job, which was working with Refinery 29, right? So at this point, I was a junior. I was in my last semester. And they just reached out to me out of nowhere. And I was not expecting it. Also at the time, I submitted my work to this site called Women Who Draw. I'm not sure if you know about it, but yes, yeah. So it was brand spanking new at the time, and art directors were on there looking for femme-identifying illustrators like crazy. And they still are, but it was definitely helpful. And my work got kind of spread out, and different folks found me from there. But I think this art director actually found me on Instagram. So I should say that you can make that list, and that's very helpful, but also you need to do the work to put yourself out there to be seen. That's the most important step. But also just being confident in what you want to happen. I mean, this thing happened and came out of nowhere. I was not expecting this to happen so soon. It's the power of word, people. And then more things came along. I got an opportunity to work with Bitch Media and BuzzFeed and Poetry Foundation and Cartoon Network, which came out of nowhere. I was not even expecting that. This happened like 6 months in of just really manifesting what I wanted, and they were just like, yo, create yourself as a Powerpuff Girl. Like, and it was just perfect because I was, it was so it was so funny. And I mean, I grew up with the Powerpuff Girls and being obsessed with animation, cartoons as a kid. So to be able to just be able to make work that I would do on my own time, but paid, is a beautiful thing. And then a lesson in patience. So at the time, at the end of that school year, my school, this came much later, this came like earlier this year. But at the end of that school year, I was chosen as one of the students to submit their portfolio to, like, for an internship with the Google Doodle folks. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this job, like, I'm gonna get this internship and it's gonna change the game and this is everything that I wanna do. And I didn't get it at the time. And I was so disappointed. And it was like I went back to like that old self-deprecating art student way of just like being super hard on myself. But then I was like, yo, you did all these amazing things. Just be patient with yourself. Like, have hope. Like, you know, you're going to get to it maybe one day, and if you don't, it'll be fine. It'll be completely fine. But it just showed me, like, earlier this year when I was commissioned for this piece in January, that I should be more patient and be more loving towards myself, because you never know when things will come around in the most unexpected ways that you don't even think about before. But yeah, this piece came. So I urge you to wait for it, love. Wait for the things that you want. And if they come around, that's amazing. If it doesn't, you'll be fine. So last but not least, faith and trust. And these are your gals, the dynamic duo. This is the thing that holds everything together, because you cannot do patience and gratitude without these two. It just won't work. If you don't have faith in the thing, it's the activated charcoal that lights the fire, if you will. But yeah, it's the thing that makes things happen, and yeah, it's the thing that makes things bloom and grow into something more magical. You just have to give it some time, and if you don't have faith and trust in yourself, who else will? You're the master of your own universe. You're the person that makes things happen. You just have to believe in you. And I know that sounds like so cliche. I know, guys, but like, it's real. It's real. I promise you. I believe in you. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, I urge you guys to go out into the world and just do all the things that you want to see in the world. You have the tools. You have it all in your home apothecary, in yourself, right? You just have to go out and do the thing. And make it happen. And oh God, that's good. But yeah, I mean, do the things that make you feel happy. And these are some of the earlier pieces that I was doing when I was figuring out what I wanted to talk about and what it was that I wanted to draw about. A lot of the things were growth, because that's what I wanted to see in myself. I wanted to grow. I wanted to feel more connected with myself and bloom into this person that I'm still growing into right now. But you know, the pieces started to grow. My style started to change a little bit. I started to make different and smarter decisions as time went on. And then here's more of those affirmations to self and to all of you. But yeah, you have to have faith in yourself. You have to have faith in your journey. But your voice has power. What you have to say matters. What you have to say to the world is your magic. It's something so uniquely you. No one else can do what you do. I mean, granted, someone else can copy you, but it doesn't have the same magic as what you do, right? So on that, I love to show the process of this piece every time because it had so many different variations too. So this was my first cover, and just going back to like your voice having power. Like I literally sat in it. It was my senior year, and I sat in my history of illustration class. I was working. It was like in the second year of me working, and I was like, listen to my teacher talk about various New Yorker covers, and I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like they have so many beautiful things to say, and I just want to be a part of this in some way. Who knows? I don't think I could do a cover. Ooh, I don't know. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to write in my sketchbook right now. I'm going to work for the New Yorker. I don't care. I'm just going to do it. I don't care if I'm in it, on it, who knows, but whatever. It's going to happen. And then a few months later, the art director there, Francoise Mouly, she just emailed me out of nowhere. Also, I should note, I've never emailed anyone, ever. Like, I've never emailed any art director. It's all come to me just through believing in myself. And it's not unique to me. All of you have this gift, too. That's the funny thing about being human. But yeah, so she emailed me and she was like, hey, I think you would be perfect for a cover. Could you do Mother's Day? And my mom was having my baby brother at the time. So I was like, that's perfect. I want to like dedicate this to my mom. At first I thought it was fake at first because I was like, why the hell would she know me? I'm like some small time guy. I don't know. I was just doing editorial at the time. But she just found me, and I was very ambitious at the time. I just like sent over 1 million covers to her. I was like, maybe this one? I don't know. I would never work this way. No, that's excessive. But this was the final cover. And this came out last year, and it was like a graduation gift to me because I literally graduated a few weeks after this came out. But I was sitting on this for months, and it was so hard. It was so hard. So we went through so many rounds of revisions and just figuring out what this thing was going to look like. And I couldn't look at it for a month. I was like, I can't see this thing. This is the worst thing I ever made. And then before it came out, I was like, oh, wow, okay, I see it now. This is me. I was being myself, and I made this thing. And then this one came earlier this year. This one just started off as a personal project that I did for myself. I put it on Instagram, and she saw it, and she was like, can you take that down? We want to make it a cover. I was like, okay. So, and I love this piece because it's just me being myself, and it was an ode to just where I was and how I grew up, and nurturing, and these Black femmes just being around me and nurturing me and building me up. So to put 2 Black queer women on a cover in this way, in this space, is super powerful to me. But I say all this to say, go out into the world and share your magic and share your joy and be confident in yourself and your word, and what you have to say is so important. Like, you all have these tools in your apothecary within yourself. You just have to pull it out of you and trust that like your voice is meaningful, no matter who it matters to. If it matters to you, that's all that matters. Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
great.
Any questions? Hi. Yeah, yeah.
When did you start to recognize the style of the figures you draw?
So while I was in college, and I was taking a lot of figure drawing classes, and a teacher of mine was just like, well, I wasn't great at drawing figures anatomically correct at all at the time. And he was like, okay, you don't feel that confident in that thing? Why don't you just skew it? Like, really, pardon me, really fuck up that figure. Really, like, pull it apart and make it into what you want it to be. And it just felt true to me. It felt true to my hand. And trusting, like, those marks, I think, really brought it out of me.
So did you draw when you were young?
I did, and they weren't great.
They didn't have the same characteristics that your humans have now, would you say, or?
No, because I wasn't trying to be, I was really going against the grain of what my hand wanted it to do. That I was like, it's not, like, as children, we do this thing where we're like, oh, things need to be right. Like, that eye needs to be right, that hand needs to be perfect. And it would frustrate me more to draw that way, because I felt like, oh, if I draw, it needs to be perfect. It needs to look like an eye, but thank you.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
So you said you started out in school and then kind of transitioned into working while you're in school.
Mm-hmm.
I sort of am thinking about going to school, but I'm already kind of working in the field I want to work in, but think there's things I need to learn and don't know if like workshops would be the best way, or if you recommend school, or your experience in school. Like, did you think it was a huge staple for you?
I think so, because of the way that I learned. But by the end, I was like, so I know this is going to sound so bad. So I was in graduation, and I was like, I did all of this for a piece of paper. But it was more than that. It was more than that. I think school is very fulfilling in that way. But you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to go to school for it. If you can get around it, there's this beautiful thing called Skillshare where you can learn and take different courses, and there's some great classes on there. Also going to your local figure drawing class, or
That's a great idea.
I mean, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's within you. You got it.
Yeah.
Hi.
So you said when the New Yorker came to you, you were doing editorial stuff. What kind of editorial stuff were you working on
Oh,
when
yeah.
they came to you?
Yeah, I was working with the Times. I was doing some stuff with them and Bitch Media, the Poetry Foundation, anyone who would hire me, honestly, like BuzzFeed.
But you were a senior?
Yeah, I was a junior, senior.
Where did you go to school?
Oh, I went to the University of the Arts in Philadelphia.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
where I met Faith. Hope, sorry. I'm thinking about Faith Ringgold right now. But yeah, thank you.
Can you tell us more about your process? Are you going from sketch to paint to digital, and also just an aside, what your slideshow is with those wonderful little videos?
Yeah.
What program?
Oh, that's all in Photoshop.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm animating things in Photoshop because it just feels more natural for me. But my process starts on paper usually, and I'll make some quick sketches, and then I paint over it. Usually doing like a value sketch, like a black and white sketch in Photoshop, because that helps me to see the picture clearly and to see how things lay, and then I'll apply color also in Photoshop as well. But more recently I've been working, because it's quicker, I've been using Procreate, which is an app on the iPad.
Loveis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Well, I want to have a suggestion and also a question. So my suggestion is you should really do this talk at our art schools because it's really inspirational.
Thank you.
It's really great response here and other people. And my question is, how did your peers handle all your success in school?
Ooh, you shady. No, a lot of them, I think it put a lot of pressure on them, because now at that point, my higher ups, like in the department, they were like, okay, so Loveis is working, what are you guys doing? And I feel kind of bad about that, because it's just like, not everyone puts that much pressure on themselves like me. I'm a Capricorn. Okay. But no, a lot of them were supportive. A lot of them would come to me about, like, with advice. And I think it also made a lot of them feel confident enough to go out and find work too, which was a great thing. And like whenever someone else would get a job, I'd be like, oh shoot, that's amazing, like this is how I did this thing. And like we would talk about just like negotiating contracts and talking to art directors and all of that stuff, because it was completely new to me. I had no clue what I was doing. I was just like, I know how to make things, but I don't know how to send an invoice. I don't know how to like email professionally yet, but yeah, it was a whole thing.
Has your working career been entirely in the arts, or were you working in retail during?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, I had many jobs, which is why I was also like, this is all I want to do. Like I just want to do the thing I care about, because it started to really show when I was at work that I did not care, and all I would want to do was like doodle. But I was working in an office job at the time, in my last like year in the workforce, if you will. I was working in an office job for my school, and then I was also working heavily like in retail jobs like Lush, which was one of my favorite jobs. But yeah, and also I worked at a movie theater once. I know we got really personal. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, well, first of all, I just want to say that you're a very inspirational speaker, and I'm proud of that.
Thank you.
But the other thing that I wanted to ask was, how do you keep yourself motivated when you have such a massive, extensive body of work and big portfolio? How would do you have any suggestions for just keeping yourself going in your world?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, I think by taking time off, I learned recently I can't always say yes. It's important to say no, and it's important to protect your energy and your time, especially as a maker. You have to take time off. You have to take time for rest and to just not draw or to not think about work. And that's helped me a lot, because now I'm always like excited to come back to what I'm making, and ideas are always flowing through. But just taking time to step away and really being with yourself, being with things that bring you joy, and being okay with that. Like, you don't have to always be in work mode all the time. You don't always have to think about art all the time. You're a whole person outside of that too. So that helps.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Yeah. Hi.
You've already done so much. Is there anything you can share that you'd like to do in the future?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So outside of drawing, I do want to voice act. Yeah, because I mean that's something that I feel like has always been in my life too, outside of just making. And I do want to like have my own show, like a animation, eventually. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how things go. Thanks. Hey.
Hey, so for your process to like come into fruition, like you have all your goals and you write it down and visualize it, do you go about it in a certain way where you like focus on one thing, like I want to work for New York Times, or I'm just going to focus on that, or do you kind of feel like you have hands all over the place, or I mean I struggle with focus.
Oh, I feel that. Same. I have ADHD. And I'm dyslexic. So it's like, yeah, I feel that like with the chart that I made, because it's impossible for me to focus on one thing at once, I was like, I need to see the bigger picture. And then maybe we can work our way around. But just putting all of those things into one space and seeing the bigger picture that way kind of helped a lot. But I mean, like if you want to just focus on one thing, that's great. If you want to just focus, if you want to do them all and do them all at once, that's cool too, depending on your process.
You mentioned Faith Ringgold. Is that have inspired you?
Oh,
who they are.
Definitely. So Toyin Oji is definitely one of my faves. She's a fine artist. I'm always looking at fine artists too, in some way. But Carrie James Marshall, Nicolene Thomas, definitely very inspirational for me. Andrea Pippins is very inspirational. Lisa Compton is amazing as well. Laquea Holmes is amazing. So many folks. Oh, yeah,
Well, I was gonna ask what's next, and also what's on your wish list, if you answer the wish list question.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what I said in my intro about suddenly you were everywhere, like suddenly it's like, who is this person? Who's, like, I was really intrigued. And from what you just presented, I'm guessing that there's a methodical side to you as well. You seem to be a planner. Can you talk, especially for the students here, a little bit about how you approach social media? Because I think you do it very well. Do you have, like, are you disciplined about it? Is there some sort of, how do you go about engaging through social media?
I was very disciplined about it, and I was very shameless about it, which you really need to do. I know a lot of us are like, I don't want to be annoying, but also it's their job to hire you. Like, they're looking for you. You just have to show yourself. So what I did was, when I first started, I'm not as like annoying about it now, because I'm like, that's what it is. Like, if it comes, whatever. But before, when I was like, all right, I need to show myself to the world, I was tagging, like hashtagging. I know how irritating. But no, I was hashtagging all of these folks that I wanted to work with. And so an art director who actually became a really good friend of mine, she thought she discovered me when I was like, nah, girl, I was just tagging you this whole time. So I infiltrated her mind. She was like, like, if you find yourself and you find these folks that you want to work with and just tag them up, I'm like, hey, this is it. And they find you, and then follow those art directors that you love. I mean, there's a lot of illustrators in the room right now, but like a lot of illustrators will literally just tag the art director that they work with. Follow them, stay in touch, say hi. Like, hey, you're doing something that I like to do. Let's be friends. But yeah, it was simply just doing that.
That's the shameless part?
Yeah, you gotta be.
We all need to be more shameless.
We need to. We really do.
But mostly it's Instagram, and what else? What else do you?
I mainly use Instagram as my like main deal. Behance was also a thing. I don't know if anyone really. I know I found a lot of illustrators that I love from Behance, and I know there's art directors there too. But Instagram, because it's the most accessible. Everyone has one, and everyone uses it daily, I think.
Instagram, what is it?
Oh, it's my name, Loveis Wise, like illustration, but not illustration, but ILLU.
Thank you.
No problem.
Does someone else have Loveis?
Yeah, someone else had Loveis Wise. I was like, but it kind of makes sense. I mean.
Could you talk a little bit about your children's books that you're working in?
Yeah.
What you've done, I'm not sure.
I'm working on 2 picture books right now. One of them is with HarperCollins, and the other is with Disney Hyperion, and both of them I think are set to come out next year. Or no, one of them comes out next year, the other comes out the following year.
Did you create the story, or did you just do the illustrations?
Nah, I just did the illustrations for both of them. But I am currently working on writing my own graphic novel. But that might not come out for a minute. Because I'm just like doing the most right now.
Yeah. Cool.
Someone feels like he's still not quite that prevalent in social media. How do you find red flags, like when people are potentially like hiding what they're doing to take advantage of you as an artist kind of craft?
How good are you with your intuition?
Better person.
I feel that, yeah, because I don't know. I think my intuition has grown pretty well to the point where I'm like, this don't feel right. And I kind of go with my gut a lot, so I haven't encountered anything weird so far in that way. But Google is your friend. Google everybody. Also check in with folks that have worked with that person. And because I have friends all the time, or even strangers will be like, hey, I'm about to work with this person. I see that you've worked with this person. Can you tell me about your experience with them? And that helps a lot. And normally, like, illustrators are pretty nice folks, I think. Artists are, I hope, maybe. So, I don't know. No one's going to steer you in the wrong place. If you need me, I'm here. I'm going to try to be here.
Milo has a question.
Yes.
How was working with Cartoon Network?
Oh, it was cool. It was quick. Like, I mean, I worked with a company that they were working with. So it was pretty cool, and it was like a collaboration, like an artist collaboration project. So a bunch of different artists were working on that project too. But that's so funny. Like, in a few weeks I'll be working with Adult Swim on a show called Laser Wolf. I'll be working on a new season for that show, like doing background stuff. But yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
You have a question over here. Tom?
Yeah, where did you grow up? And how was school? Were you supported in school?
In undergrad or high school?
High school, yeah.
We were just talking about school. In high school?
In high school, yeah. Did you get a transition to?
Yeah. So high school, I grew up in Washington, D.C., and then I moved to Maryland, like, later in life, and I went to high school there in Maryland. But it was not a great time, and I didn't have any clue about what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to create work, and I knew I wanted to be an artist, but I wasn't very technically trained. We didn't have a great, we didn't have great art teachers, or we didn't have a lot of support in art there. So everything I learned was through, like, after, and I went to a community college before going to art school. So yeah, which helped a ton, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it's the way to go.
Yeah.
I think.
This is great.
Yes, could you talk about, since it seems that you're sort of freelancing in a way, who gives you guidance as to how to deal with the different clients that either reach out to you or you have to tell them, well, this is my price, or does somebody guide you with that?
So I had a great teacher at the time who was doing something similar to what I was doing. He was also the director of the program at the time when I first started out figuring out pricing.
Yeah.
And one time he told me this thing, and ever since then it changed the game. So he said to me, oh, I'm working on this mural right now, and they're paying me $40,000 to just make this mural. And I was like, if this guy can make $40,000, what am I doing? And ever since then, I've been approaching it in that way. I also went to after college, and I really started to buckle down, I went to this amazing illustration conference called Icon, which I urge you all to try to go to if you can next year. But Melinda Beck who's an amazing illustrator and designer. She was talking about 20 things she learned during her 20 years of working in the industry. And she was like, she said this great thing where she was like, anytime a client offers you anything, double that price. Double it. So I approach pricing in that way always. Like, I'll be like, what's your budget? That's like my favorite thing. I'm like, what's your budget? Because you give them your budget, it's probably more than you expect. But if you ask what their budget is, you can double it from there. Financial literacy with Loveis. But yeah, literally that. And trial and error of just talking to folks. Right now, I have I've become better at it over time from learning from my teachers. But right now I have 2 agents. So I have a literary agent who handles all my book stuff, because I'm very unfamiliar with that world, and he works well with me. And then I have now a commercial work, like, advertising agent who handles all, like, the huge, like, client work, like murals or, campaigns and things of that nature.
Do they get in touch with, sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Do they get in touch with your agent, or do they get in touch with you and kind of refer them?
Both of us, because people are so used to reaching out to me directly. They'll sometimes reach out to me, and then I'll just forward it to him, and then he'll take over. or he'll come to me with something that he, like with one of the clients that he's been working with for years, and he'll be like, hey, would you want to do this thing? And I'm like, hell yeah, I wouldn't have got that on my own. So it works in that way.
I'm interested in learning a little bit more about your experience in the residency. Are you finding that a time that's more respite, or is it a time where you feel like I have time to work on this particular project?
A mix of both. Like I've been in chill mode. It's been helping. Oh, thank you so much. It's such a beautiful space. Oh my God. So I've been in chill mode, but I've also been, there's a lot of pressure to complete things because I came here with a load of things that I needed to like kind of wrap up. But fingers crossed, I'll wrap things up tonight, and then tomorrow I'll be able to just really get into Peaks Island and the beauty of it.
Any other questions?
Thank you guys.
Thank you.